Good morning, everybody. I come with you with the greetings of peace. Here we are on ShuraTV. We're doing our year-end show. This is our final show for the year 2021. We thought since this will be our final show for the year of 2021, we wanted to kind of reflect on what has happened in terms of the healthcare scene here in the U.S. and specifically Southern California, as well as worldwide. We wanted to discuss some trends. Today is December 21st. It is one of the shortest days of the year and the longest nights. We hope that you and your family are enjoying the time off, hopefully, here in the US at least, and you get to spend some quality time with your family at least in the midst of this new Omicron variant, and you protect yourselves and your loved ones with, social distancing and wearing your masks where people are present and you don't know their vaccination status. And also, you yourself and your loved ones getting the vaccine and the boosters so that you're protected against these new variants that are coming out. It's very important to keep that in mind and to do the utmost that you can in trying to protect yourselves and your loved ones and your families from getting this Omicron variant of COVID-19. The year in review, obviously, this year has been a different year once again, like 2020, 2021 was also a very different year. We started the year with the good news of the vaccinations, and there was a halt and a decrease in infections from the pandemic. And thank God that these vaccines were there and created and came about so that we can all try to live in a way where we have a semblance of normal living and normal life and normal gatherings. And thank God that did happen. We saw people going back to work. We saw people getting together. We saw different aspects of communities traveling, all due to the advent of the vaccinations. And this was something that happened in early January and February of 2021. People were getting mass vaccinations, and we had a very strong effort, especially here in the West, in the U.S. and in California and in states that were progressively minded. Greater than 60% of the population, got the vaccine, and they got both jabs. And now, fortunately, in the progressive states, at least, people are rushing to get the boosters, which will help them with the Omicron variant and protect them and prevent severe disease and hospitalization and death. Unfortunately, on the other end of things, we still have a small segment of the population, 35-40%, still refusing to get vaccines and to get in line with protecting themselves. And this is something which, unfortunately, stems not in science or logic, but stems more in politics and I would say ego. We have clients and patients that come in to doctors and they get all types of other medications with side effects to help them with their illnesses and to help them with their ailments. But when it comes to COVID-19 and the variants, and they're told to please go get vaccinations so that you and your family are protected, they suddenly become experts and they say, my research or my feeling, or I'm not on board and I don't feel comfortable and I don't trust the medical community on this particular issue. But on other issues, they are perfectly fine following the advice of their doctors and taking medications that their doctors have prescribed. So this to me is mind-boggling. I personally, myself, I don't involve myself or stress myself in terms of talking to people who refuse to take the vaccine. I just let them be and tell them, okay, well, that's your choice, but just don't make sure you don't infringe on other people's safety and security in terms of gathering and being sick and not letting others know. So it's a communal obligation for us all to let others know if we're sick or if we have colds or if we have fevers or we think we're contagious with something. Generally, in the human realm of things, that's something where we have to have consideration for our brethren, for our sisters and brothers living with us in the society, so that they don't get sick. It's a basic necessity of common courtesy that we let people know. So these things have been happening, and unfortunately, in the last year, 2021, there's been 3.3. So that's 3,300,000 deaths across the world from COVID-19. That is a staggering number. 3.3 million deaths. This is what this pandemic has caused in the year 2021. In the US alone, it's greater than 800,000 deaths. So we've had 800,000 of our friends and families extended here in the US who have passed on. And that was a direct result of this COVID-19 pandemic and virus. Looking at these stats, it becomes important and paramount that we, living in society now, encourage each other to live in a very safe and efficacious way. And the way to do that is this virus is still there. The virus will mutate again. There will be another variant. We have a variant currently. It's very important that we get, more than 75% of our population vaccinated so that we get some type of immunity. And fortunately, the Omicron now has milder symptoms, and this is something where, we're seeing, but people are still getting it, and there are people in hospitals, and there are people that are actually dying from this variant as well. And unfortunately, 70% plus that are in hospital with COVID are still unvaccinated individuals. And this is a tragedy because it is preventable. It is completely preventable. And, looking at this year, 3.3 million people have passed away across the earth because of this pandemic, and 800,000 here in the US. It is very important for us to prevent that from happening in 2022. Looking back at this year, this was the major health story of all nations. It is something which was tragic, and it is tragic, but there's light at the end of the tunnel where we have something which can prevent this and prevent it from getting worse. And we don't want the virus to live in human bodies and to mutate. So if you're vaccinated, that'll be prevented, and the degree and the viral load in vaccinated individuals is much less than those that are unvaccinated. I met a pregnant nurse, and she's swearing by God that her natural immunity will protect her, and I keep on encouraging her to please go and take the vaccine. If not for yourself, do it for your child that you're carrying, and simply refuses to do it. It's unfortunate. People are, misinformed, especially because there are new variants, and this natural immunity that you had because you had COVID before is not going to protect you against the variants that are coming out new and they're mutating. It'll protect you against that same virus that you had before, but it won't protect you with the new ones that are coming out. And unfortunately, until we get that high percentage of vaccinations, we're still going to be seeing more mutations and more restrictions. And if you look at the news now from Europe, there's a host of restrictions that have been introduced by many European countries now, and a lot of them, Australia, Europe, Asia. Again, with this Omicron, people are scared. People are, very cautious. So the governments are instituting laws and restrictions once again. And the only way to help this and alleviate all this is to get the vaccines, get the second world and third world countries the vaccines that they need, so that we can be ahead of this, and we can hopefully in 2022 get to more of a normal life and get everyone back on track in their businesses and their jobs and their daily living and gathering and visiting their relatives and seeing people they love without fear, without fear of getting disease and getting some sort of illness. This is the goal. And, other things that happened this year, there was a lot of uh, migratory issues in terms of people migrating from different countries and evacuating and causing a lot of traumatic stresses on their health. This is something which has been going on and it's getting worse. Many of the third world countries, um, because of governmental changes or coup d'etats or change in administrations or there's power vacuums, and then we get a lot of migrants fleeing to the West in any shape or form. And this causes a huge influx of people into different countries, like the U.S. as well. The U.S. has experienced that with immigrants from Afghanistan, and what it does is it stresses the current health system as well as the humanitarian aid and assistance and all these NGOs that are there trying to help these people, and it puts an extra stress on world organizations to fundraise extra, get the normal vaccines to these clients or to these new evacuees that have arrived. And it adds a layer of stress. And then on top of that, when these individuals come into different living corridors or cities and societies, there is a need for them to be seen and treated for not only physical health issues, but also the stress and trauma that they've been through, which causes a lot of anxiety and stress and depression, and these things need to be treated as well. So we get sort of an overwhelming of the system, whether it's the health system or it's the social service systems, and this causes an extra stress on the budget of those host countries. So this is something to keep in mind as well. This has happened a lot again in 2021, and we hope that moving into 2022, that there's political solutions to these countries where we don't have a mass exodus of people running and fleeing to the West for better lives. It's very important to treat the root causes of this political upheaval in their host countries, so that we have equitable terms of living and they're comfortable and they're getting their food, shelter, and basic necessities met in their host countries, so that they feel comfortable and content and not wanting to flee by any means necessary. So this is something where we hope in 2022 changes, so that people feel stable and content in their host countries, and I urge political organizations here in the West to aim for that and to advocate for that, so that if people are comfortable and they're vaccinated and they have enough of a health service and they have enough of a food service and economically they're stable, then they won't have this extra need or urgency to leave their own host countries, and in turn, it won't stress these countries that they're coming into for migration. So these things need to be thought about by our government leaders, and they need to really be implemented in an executable plan where people in the host countries are getting the basic necessities and then not just getting their resources sort of drained from that natural resources from the country, while their social status and their health and their shelter is compromised in their host countries, causing them to come out and seek immigration anywhere possible. These are some things that have been going on in 2021, and we hope that 2022 is different. We always want to keep a positive light and a positive optimism for the future. We hope that with this pandemic, that we can curtail it and decrease the number of infections by getting everybody we can encouraged to get their vaccines, get their boosters, take care of their health, eat a balanced meal daily, have good sleep, get good exercise. Health is not just one aspect of your body, but it's also of your mind. And we want to make sure that everybody takes a holistic approach to their health. And number one, decreases the stressors to their mind so that their body can cope with uh, activities of daily living much better. And for everyone to have a plan, to set up a resolution to be healthier in 2022, to make sure you take an intake of what you're eating, what you're taking in terms of supplements, reviewing the medications that you're taking. Maybe if you're an elderly person, review your medications with someone, sit down, read about them, and see if you really need to be on those medications uh, permanently. Talk with your doctor, review it. It's the end of the year. Tell them, do I need to be on this medication? I've been on it for 5 years. What are the indications? What are the side effects? Do I need to change something? And these things need to be done. You need to advocate for your health. It's important. This would be the best time to do it, where it's the end of the year. Take account of what has happened, and make a plan for the future of what you want to achieve in terms of your overall health and well-being. That's very important. If you make a plan, like they say, if you fail to plan to fail. So if you plan, and that's your key to success, planning. You have to have a plan of what you're going to change, what you're going to do better, what you're going to do less of, what you're going to do more of, so that your health can improve in general. And of course, this is on the individual level. You can do it on the family level with your kids, with your mom and dad, with your spouse. You can make these plans and really try to make a change for the better for 2022. And if you do that, that'll improve the quality of your life. And try to negate the stressors in your life. That's very important. And increase the social outings and gatherings with people you can just relax and be yourself with. That's something very good and very healthy for your body. That's something which will increase your longevity and decrease your experience in disease and pathology. That's something to keep in mind. And if you do these things, then you can look forward to having a successful 2022. We wish you and your families a happy new year, and your colleagues and your spouses and everyone, all your loved ones. We hope that you have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. Take care and have a wonderful holiday.